I want to talk about Ted here, the series, not really either of its movies. The 2024 series set in 1993 is an absolute hit. Ted is so quick to set its identity. If you watch the first episode and like it, you'll probably be good for the entire series. Seth MacFarlane's strength, in my opinion, are these sitcom style shows. Ted isn't exactly a sitcom, but it certainly fits what Seth was successful with Family Guy. Each episode is very well structured about having a problem for the A plot that usually Ted and Johnny have to solve, while B plot is filled with the family that we didn't know Johnny had. His cousin Blair and his parents Maddie and Susan are additions to this show that weren't in either movie. Blair is a young, strong, liberal-minded woman who feels a little stale on the surface, but always has something to say. She's really never afraid to say what's on her mind. Maddie is kind of the exact opposite, as a middle-aged, short-tempered conservative man. The two clash from episode to episode and start off particularly strong in the pilot. Maddie's often put into situations where he has to grow and learn from a mistake. And the only issue I have with Blair's character is that she doesn't often have to do that at all. At least in 2 or 3 episodes, Maddie has to grow up and apologize and realize what he did was wrong. And it's a nice moment in the story. I would have loved to see some of that in Blair's character. I started getting a little bored with her around the 4th or 5th episode. Mind you, this is only a 7-episode series. I feel like she's becoming a little predictable and too self-righteous. I hope season 2 shows her taking some L's to grow from as well. She kind of reminds me of Oscar from The Office, who would eventually also make some mistakes that would spice up his character. Johnny and Ted are super entertaining in each episode. Johnny usually runs into a problem or two, like dealing with a bully, smoking weed, or trying to hook up with a girl, while Ted feeds him satirical and often lackluster advice. I really like this younger version of Johnny, and some of his cues are very similar to Mark Wahlberg. The biggest difference is younger Johnny can be a little bit more remorseful, while Mark was a little more aggressive and assertive. Ted is pretty much exactly the same, and I love him for it. The show got great ratings in its first season, which prompted another season that actually just finished filming a few weeks ago. I'm not sure how long this show will go for, but hopefully we can get 3 seasons of it. Season 1 ended with junior year ending, and so season 2 could pick up that summer, which I think would be pretty cool. I don't need another season of high school drama with classrooms and lunchrooms as the backdrop. It worked really well in season 1 to establish the characters, but I would love if season 2 went in a different direction. Maybe some sort of camping or vacation background would be a little bit better than a high school hallway. I was hesitant to watch this series at first because I wasn't confident with Seth MacFarlane in this universe anymore. Ted 2 was really boring for me. Let me say at the first 30 minutes, that movie though is absolutely hilarious. Seth is at his strongest with funny banter and a realistic but often embarrassing problem for a character to have. But once Karen Smith is introduced to the movie, it kind of goes downhill. Seth MacFarlane has had this problem in live action movies where he gets up to a strong start, but somewhere around the midpoint it starts to fade, and the plot completely falls off. Ted 2 had long, drawn-out courtroom scenes in a musical that is basically as skippable of a sequence as I've ever seen, and the villain is almost forgettable. During Ted 2, I forgot what's his name existed until he showed up. This series though keeps the episodes short and sweet, but real enough to remember each character to be fleshed out a little bit. My favorite episode might have been the Susan teacher episode, because it adds so much complexity to her character that was mostly dull up until that point. Susan, as a housewife, is pushed by Blair to become a teacher, a profession she once studied. She tries it and overall seems really helpful, even taking the high ground against a girl who tried to shame her. There's every reason for Susan to keep doing this job, but at the end of the episode, she goes back home and insists that it's not for her, despite studying for it in her youth and having tangible evidence that she could actually make a difference in people's lives while doing it. Blair can't believe that women like her are happy with so little. Maybe this could have been a rift between the two, but it's ultimately dropped after the episode. However, fleshing out Susan is definitely something I would love to see more of in season 2. The series set viewership records on the weekend of the Chiefs-Dolphins Peacock exclusive wildcard game. Now, Peacock has only been around for 4 years and doesn't have a ton of original shows that I'm aware of, and I'm kind of surprised to see this show broke the original show's ratings on the platform. Kind of funny to have a talking bear as the flagship show, but I'll take it. Many original shows on these platforms can be misses for me, particularly on Netflix and Disney. I am glad to have gotten off to a strong start with Peacock though with Ted. I would recommend this series to anyone with Peacock. I hope season 2 does have more episodes though, because I am growing tired of these 7 to 8 episode seasons. They go by way too quickly, and I was pretty confused when episode 7 ended and there wasn't anything after that. But aside from that, if you were a fan of Family Guy, you'll enjoy this show. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.